Well then, a few days ago developers did came out saying that there will be changes to mission boards. And this change will happen rather soon, as a matter of fact, in the next update. So not to bore you, I'll go over more important details. But if you want to read it yourself, well, there will be a link in the description for that post. So basically developers want to implement a quote-unquote dedicated mission server that will be separating the mission generating portion of the game from the game itself. So what will be the implications of such a move? So according to developers, mission board loading times might be decreasing, ever so slightly, but nonetheless. After that, it would allow them to fix the servers if there would be some problem with missions. Well, in a way you can say that this will basically allow them to fix gold rushes even faster. But on the bright side, you wouldn't need to take down the whole game just to update it for that specific change, which frankly is a positive thing. Additionally, they are mentioning that they will be increasing mission payouts all around by some percentage. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. Then let's see. Oh, and less wing missions will be available after the new change, which I don't really know how to take. And will there be more missions being spawned? No. The answer is no. And finally, the biggest, the juiciest change that will people notice is persistent mission boards between modes, i.e. no more board flipping. So to those that perhaps don't know what board flipping is, essentially it is going back to menu and switching modes constantly in order to force the mission board to regenerate a new board. Essentially this technique is being used because of the two things. Either A, a player wants to stack up on all the missions that are rather similar or higher paying, or B, a player wants to find a specific type of mission. And the official response from developers about this has been, quote, "This was never the intended use of the mission system." Now let me be salty for a second, because I've asked this very same question, whether or not board flipping is legit or not, several times to the developers through multiple channels and never gotten an answer. It's always nice to see that this communication is being passed through some random thread when the topic really arises, rather than directly to someone that asks a question about the game. So the keyword here is communication. Thank you for it, I really appreciate it. But anyways, let not the salty Yamiks get in your way. Also, there was a mention in that very same post that a very small number of players actually use board flipping. To be more precise, 2.8%. Now this is a little aside as well, but considering that you, the Frontier, the company, are the only ones that actually have the facts and there's no other way for us to independently confirm these things, we either can swallow that fact or call bullshit on it. In either way, it's not very beneficial to us. So anyways, after seeing the post, I decided to make a poll on my channel and see what people think of the mission board flipping and the changes coming in it. I posed a simple question: board flipping, what do you think of it? And the results you can see on the screen right now. And out of over 3,500 people voted, almost 70% admits using board flipping as a technique, and more than 50% board flips and wants it to stay. But then when I start to read the comments, it's kind of weird, because even though some of the respondents chose I use board flipping and wanted to stay, in comments write that if pay was better, they would love to see board flipping gone. So take these answers as they are, and remember that this is mostly my audience, so I'm not disputing the 2.8% the developers mentioned. So then, what are the conclusions? Well, first of all, personally I can tell you that I hate board flipping, mostly because of the gameplay perspective. See, Elite Dangerous has this wonderful and absolutely amazing thing called in-game UI. Essentially, you're playing the game, opening up some menus here and there, but you're never breaking up your gameplay because those menus are still in-game and you can look around and play with whatever there is to be played. See, this creates this so-called proper immersion, but every time you need to open up a new window, say Galaxy Map or Galnet, it breaks up that gameplay and that feeling that you're in there, in the universe, and in your ship most of all. And board flipping essentially is the worst case of destroying this feeling. And of course the same thing goes with the third-party tools and so on and so forth, but let's tackle one issue at a time. So back to the board flipping. Now a lot of people are, let's just say, angry about this because of course, don't take away my guns! Or in this case, don't take away my missions! So let's examine why people say that. Take a look carefully. What do you see? To me, board flipping is the result of a much deeper issue that is really not that hard to see. So let's examine, why do people board flip? To get missions stacked up. Then why do you need missions stacked up? To maximize the efficiency doing them. Then why do you need to do that? To earn as much money as possible. But then why do you need so much money? Because everything in this game revolves around grind of credits and materials. There's your source of the issue. Of course, I did mention an alternative reason why people board flip. There are people that will board flip just to get missions that they desire to do. While this is a less common thing, still a valid point that should be remembered. While one starport might have some selection of missions, you have to remember that each faction is not there to cater to your needs, but their needs, as they offer missions that need to be done for them. Still, this aspect of varied missions could be worked on for sure, I agree. So, as it turns out, people just need money. And when you look at the missions, you'll see a huge imbalance between all the missions, especially when you compare combat and passenger missions. And this has been a huge issue for a long time. And I must say, developers need to wise up on the reality of their own game. Most missions are unrewarding or downright horrible. And outside the missions, in the game at large, such thing as risk versus reward is almost non-existent. And speaking of risk versus reward, I actually did make a video about it, so feel free to check that out. Once more, link in the description. But to name a few discrepancies. Combat is heavily underpaying. Wing missions are really badly executed, great idea. And overall ships, their rebuys and modules spin out of control, price-wise of course, the higher you go. While passenger missions in comparison have always been overpaying. Now then, as for the future, once the mission board is changed, we'll be playing the game with the missions in the quote-unquote intended way, and it will be really bad. That's true. I have no delusions about that. I definitely expect that to happen. But having mission flipping gone is a good thing, and most of the technical things about the new mission server is definitely a good change too. Still, unless something is done about the in-game economy alongside with this change, it will be a headache as soon as the system goes live. And sorry, but no, the blatant 10% increase in pay will not help. In fact, it feels more insulting than helping, especially when developers say, quote, we will increase the credit payout of missions by 10% across the board, so all players using mission boards as intended will see a net profit. No, sorry, but that's a lazy and easy fix to do. You have to face the reality of the game, as well as the message of this video. Missions and many types of gameplay in Elite Dangerous are imbalanced compared to each other, and each one of them require different adjustment and tuning, not just a lazy and flat increase in rewards. Also remember, if players really didn't need money that much for ships and rebuys and modules and whatnot else, would they be still inclined to do board flipping and get outraged seeing this sort of a change come into play? As I said, there's a deeper issue than board flipping, and it doesn't take that much to seek it out. And so there you go, that'd be my 2 cents on the matter about mission board flipping, the mission system being changed, and so on and so forth. So share the video around if you found it interesting, dislike it or like, and subscribe if you did.